In the 1920s, American social doors were being opened and barriers were breaking down. Women, youth, and minorities were gaining roles in society. Social norms were breaking down and everyone was enjoying the post-war good times.
Nothing opened up more doors than the 19th Amendment. In 1920, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified, granting the right to vote to all citizens regardless of gender. Essentially, women were given the right to vote. The ratification of the amendment was boosted by women's contributions on the home front during World War I. The 19th Amendment instantly doubled the voter base in the 1920 election, making women a powerful political force in American politics. The 19th Amendment was a victory for the women's suffrage movement and the pioneers of women's rights that had come before them since the birth of America.
After gaining suffrage, women in the 20s began to assert their independence, challenge traditional values, and demand equal rights. As World War I vets returned home, women left the factories to take up new jobs. White-collar jobs spiked for women. White-collar jobs include nurses, teachers, clerks, and bankers. Women were ideal for these jobs because there was no room for promotion and no possibility for higher pay, and they were willing to do these jobs. 2 million women workers filled clerical jobs, while another 2 million worked on assembly lines. Female contributions during World War I earned them respect and credibility. During the 1920s, not only did women's salaries increase, but the type of jobs they did changed too. Jobs moved away from manufacturing and agriculture, and more towards professional and clerical.
Roles for women in the 1920s also began to change. The women's role in family, marriage, and society modernized. Marriage and birth rates declined in the 1920s. Women dated longer, they focused on their careers, and they exercised their new options. New economic and political power for women led to an increased use of birth control. New appliances made life for housewives easier and more convenient. With more autonomy, women were free from traditional family responsibilities.
Women continued to challenge traditional expectations as their authority grew. Women became more assertive and bold throughout society. Boundaries were pushed as women redefined their status and image. The ideal image of the rebellious young woman of the 1920s was the flapper. The new liberated flapper image shattered the old modest Victorian image that women were expected to live up to. She threw off the stuffy Victorian restrictions and embraced the urban style and attitude. She was the symbol of the rebellious youth, sophisticated 20s woman. She wore blush, kiss-proof lipstick, and short beaded dresses with her long curls. She cut her hair into a short bob and dyed it jet black, and wore fashionable hats and bands. She stayed out all night with the boys, smoked cigarettes, drank, and played sports. She was sassy and liberated.
The newfound freedom of the woman in the 1920s had a price. It was the double standard. The flapper image was used in magazines and movies to sell goods. Women were drawn to the fashionable image, but in reality, it was very hard to live up to. Young people threw off old courting rituals and embraced casual dating. However, many young girls and elders resisted the loose morals of the flappers. This drew tough scrutiny of young people in the 1920s. Still, the double standard existed for men and women in dating. Men were granted greater freedom, while women were still judged very harshly.
Undoubtedly, the 1920s was the decade of the woman. With the passage of the 19th Amendment, women gained the right to vote. With this power, women were able to explore their social freedoms and expand their horizons in ways that would change their role in society forever.